So I was listening to Ben Shapiro a couple days ago, and he was talking about how his kids, he and his kids would go walking around this golf course they lived near, and the kids would collect golf balls, would pick up golf balls and stuff like that. And they decided that since they live near a golf course, they would start selling golf balls for $1 a piece or something like that. And so you got Ben Shapiro like teaching his kids like how to run this business. It's like, yeah, it's somewhat labor intensive. You got to go find the lost balls. You know, it's not like you can go rob people, take their balls, or buy premium balls and like sell them for $1 each. So you got to take the time to go out there and search for the balls. All right. And so they ended up selling some balls, and they made a little cut. Everyone made a little cut of the profits. And as he's talking about, like, one kid went out and like bought what they wanted, and his son like reinvested right into, he got a ball washer, reinvested right back into the company and stuff like that. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. They're the Shapiros, man. It's like, no. Those are capitalists. That's what capitalism is. Because I had a lemonade stand. Me and my sister, when we were kids, we had a lemonade stand. You know, we were like bored some summer afternoon, and our mom says, "Well, why don't you go bother me somewhere else? Go make a lemonade stand or something like that." And it was like, I make a pitch. So she made us a pitcher of lemonade, and some plastic cups, and put it. And we got a card table and stood out by the road. And we made a sign and everything, and we sold lemonade. And our grand total of the profits was probably like $1.50, because this is like 1987 or something like that. We did this, and then, we had this conversation. It's like, this is how much we made. It's like $1.50. It's all in coins. And, then your dad says, okay, well, we'll take this 10 cents for the lemonade mix. We'll take this 20 cents for the freezer, for the ice. We'll take this much for the cups that we bought. We'll take this much for the use of the pitcher. And it was like, ooh, we're looking at this, and I'm losing comic books now. Like whole issues of comic books. But I mean, you have this conversation with your kids. My parents had this conversation with me. It's like, there's overhead. You got to start paying these things. You start trying to get into this kind of stuff. You got to start tracking what's going on, or else you're like, I'm wasting my time. I'm not making any money. It's like, all about the candy bars. Yeah, it's all about the candy bars, right? You want to go, you want 2 comic books, a candy bar, and a soda, right? Well, sorry, it costs you at least 1 comic book, at least 1 comic book, in order to for your overhead. And so you're like, I don't even know if this is worth it. But, it was when you're that age, So, I mean, and it's not like something that, I only did once. In school, I was like reading books long before everyone else. And so I had read and memorized several origami books when I was a kid. And so I'd sit in class and I'd make stuff with origami, and people would like, oh, that's cool. And I'd sell it for a nickel. And so I was making all sorts of things with origami until people, kids are pretty bright. They can catch on how it's made. It's like, this jackass is charging me a nickel. I'll learn how to make it myself, and they're going to make it nickel. And that's another lesson in commerce. It's like, you created a product, started making money at it, and then you got a bunch of competitors popping up who are like, oh, I can make that for 3 cents. It was another lesson. Eventually I stopped making money at that, and I stopped doing that. My sister and I even once sold seashells by the seashore. We found a bunch of shells by the beach, and we thought were real pretty, so we set up a table, said seashells. And we tried to haggle with people. Nobody bought any, obviously. So we were kids who had never seen the ocean before, and we were really excited. So that business venture didn't really go anywhere. When I was 13, 14, something like that, I started a lawn mowing business one summer. And I'd go around to the neighborhood. I made a bunch of flyers on my dot matrix printer. It said, Scott's Lawn Care. And, here's a bunch of $10 to mow your lawn, weeding, $10 or something like that. Just a series of services I can do. Nothing too complicated. Stuff a 14-year-old kid can do, And so I passed it around through my entire neighborhood. And so I started getting calls. People were calling me. It's like, yeah, you want to do this? It's like, oh. And I all of a sudden I had more business than I could handle. So I went to my friends, a couple of my friends, and say, hey, are you willing to help me out with all these lawns I got to mow? I'll split the profits with you for every job, 3 ways. Every single job, 3 ways. And they're like, okay. We split the labor, and we got to divide the labor. This is something I had to learn. We have to divide the labor properly in order to get your cut. All right. And so we had this one contract. I call them contracts, but it's just basically I sent them an invoice. It was mostly oral agreements, starting out. And it was this one house. They were going on vacation for a month, and they want us to mow their lawn once a week for 4 weeks while they're gone. And it ended up that I did it every week. I asked these other guys, like, listen, I'll do 2 of the weeks, but each of you's got to take a week at this lawn. All right. I did it 3 weeks. The other partner did it 1 week, but the third guy didn't. He didn't do it. I ended up doing it the third time, the very last time. No, wait. No, I did it every single time. Yeah, I did all 4 weeks by myself. And so when I got paid for that job, they gave a tip on top. It's like, because we asked the neighbors, and you actually came out here every week and you mowed it, so here's a tip for you. And so I put that tip in my pocket where it belongs. All right, and I still split the profits from that job 3 ways with those other guys. But they found out about that tip, and one of them got really mad at me. The other guy didn't really care. He said, yeah, you probably deserve it. The other guy got mad. He says, I want a third of that $20 tip you got. And he got angry at me and threw the money that I gave him from his cut in that job in my face and stormed off. Eventually, he came back to apologize to me and accepted the money that I gave him for the job, because his dad probably told him, it's like, you didn't even mow those lawns, and he's paying you. So it's a lot of lessons. You know, this is what growing up in America in a capitalist country is like. It's like you could start businesses when you're a kid, you know? And you start to realize it's like what a pain in the butt it is. In many ways it is. And so in many ways, I didn't like that labor intensive stuff like mowing lawns or making lemonade. Ugh. You got to drink what you don't sell. You know, you get sick of lemon. I don't know about you, but I get sick of lemonade after about 2 glasses. It's like, I've had enough. Too much lemon. And so, yeah, I didn't like that. What I really liked was the making of the, folding origami. You know, it's just me sitting on my butt in a chair, kind of like I am right now, having a conversation. I could be doing origami right now, but I don't want to. I lost that memory of how to do them. It was so long ago. And so I could probably make some still, but
like riding a bicycle, I'm sure once you got into it.
Yeah, if I got back into it, I'm sure I'd start remembering. But I mean, that's what like the Shock Monkey Radio business is now. You know, it's my personal business. It's like, it's your side hustle. So during my life, I always had my side hustle, and I think, I don't know, it kind of makes me proud of myself that I didn't even know that I did this. It's like, oh, I was unintentionally working my entire life. My main purpose of going to school was to learn. And I did learn, and I was so far ahead in reading this other kids that, I'm bored in all the reading comprehension classes. So I'm just making origami stuff and making 5 cents a pop on those. That was my side hustle back then. And my side hustle today is Shock Monkey Radio. So please become a patron. I would appreciate it. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Because I'd rather do this full time. I have a regular job, but I'd like to do this full time. And I tell you what, you become a patron within the next, but since this is March 1st, you become a patron in the month of March. Yeah, if you become a patron in this month, I'll make an origami thing and I'll send it to you. Okay? It's an envelope and a sheet of paper. I'll do it for you. I'll do some research. I'm sure tons of people, there's websites and stuff like that. We typed Cloud City Trooper in last week.
You're going to regret it if
Yeah, now like 80 people are become patrons. It's like people John's going to come over wanting to play cards. I was like, what are you doing? It's like, I got to make 48 more origami with swans. And stuff them in an envelope flatly. It was like, I should probably sign them too. The madman.
Get one of those stamps.
Yeah, that's impersonal. I don't like that. Anyway, so that's my rant about side hustling.